Scary Alvarez is back. And I'm here with three bold post-spring Wisconsin football predictions, just like you were waiting for. Throw a little scary like and a subscription if you haven't already. Your rewards will come in the afterlife. Anyway, 29th, the spring tenure for the Wisconsin Badgers ended. If you've been following it like I have, it seemed like a pretty solid, steady several weeks of practice for the Badgers. I mean, you can never get too high or too low during this time unless you have a major injury. And there were a couple of nicks and dings here and there, but by and large, it seemed like a pretty uneventful spring in a good way. But there were some things that we saw, most of which I liked. But anyway, I'm going to go into three areas where I'm going to make what I'm at least dubbing a bold prediction for this fall for the Badger football team. Let me know if you think I'm way off on these, either with the prediction itself or the fact that it's bold. Maybe you're thinking along the same lines, but I think these are all out there enough where it should raise an eyebrow. And full accounting here, I've done these, I think, for the past 3 seasons. And it's not been at all unusual for me to nail one or two of them, but I certainly fall flat on my face on other ones too, as many prognosticators do, but that's just the business. Anyway, let's get right to it here. The first one, and these are in no particular order, but I'm going to start with Ryan Hopkins. The true freshman, signal caller quarterback from out in California has had, depending on who you listen to, and there's a lot of great people reporting from camp, from Nick Osen on down, just a lot of real, put your time in to get the conclusions that you get types of dues. And yes, I understand they're employed to do so. This is not some charity thing, but I do appreciate the fact that a lot of what I learn and what a lot of y'all learn about how things are going in spring practice comes from these individuals who are taking the time to watch. So do a shout out to all of them. But anyway, back to Hopkins. One of the stories, I don't think this is not an under the radar thing, but one of the big stories, if you're paying attention of the spring practice, is how good Hopkins has looked. Yes, there are caveats. Yes, much of it was against second-team defense. There hasn't been a ton of high-level pads-on competition to even be able to draw conclusions from, but you can only work with what you have in the sack. And almost uniformly, this is from Jesse Temple on down to the guys I mentioned already, it has been praise for Hopkins. Okay, no one is saying this guy is a finished quarterback product who is ready to go dominate the Big Ten. No one's saying that. No one's implying it. I'm not saying it. I'm not implying it. But here's my prediction. Meaningful snaps. Hopkins is going to get meaningful snaps this fall. And I know the first reaction to that is going to be, oh my God, don't speak this into existence that Colton Joseph's going to get hurt. Continuing the now would be 4 straight years of Wisconsin transfer quarterbacks having injuries. I think you can weave this in a way where Joseph can have a relatively healthy and really solid season and still have Hopkins get meaningful snaps. Okay, I don't think those two things are an opposite. But this is just a gut feeling, guys. I mean, that's what predictions are like this. But I think what he brings to the table has so much upside that it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. I don't think he's going to have the most steps, the most yards, the most anything for the Badgers, but he is going to get on there enough in situations that are not just take a knee mop up. That is my prediction. I know the reaction is also then what does that mean for the other kids in the room, Adams and Carter Smith. Again, I'm not trying to be a doomsayer for their careers at Wisconsin. I'm just telling you, I think that with the portal looming, and it will be looming again in less than a year for people on the Wisconsin Badgers, as it will everywhere, Hopkins, I believe, is good enough where he's got to have to see a ramp to meaningful playing. I'm not saying it's gonna mean that Hopkins is going to play over someone who deserves it more. I'm saying he's got the goods, and there's going to be every incentive to get him snaps when they can this season. I don't think it's going to be like a 2 QB package that's going to come out and it's going to be half the snaps for for Hopkins and half the snaps for Joseph. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm saying what I'm saying. Let's see how it plays out, guys. All right. 1 down, 2 to go. Prediction number 2. This is not the highest bar, but it's still something that I'm going relative a little bit on a limb here. I'm going to say the Wisconsin offensive line is going to be playing its best ball since the 2019 season. And those of you listening to this, remember the 2019 season was the last really good year Wisconsin had. Me saying that the offensive line is going to have its best year since 2019 is not the same thing as me saying this team is going to be as good as the 2019 team. It almost certainly will not be. But Eric Mateos, like the cut of his jib, gang, like the way he does his business and how he does it, and I think he is the right guy at the right moment for an offensive line that has, by all objective accounts, gotten kind of soft over the last 4 or 5 years. And that's not a diss on the kids that are in that room. I think there's a sizable amount of talent that was in that room before Mateos even came on board, before the portal happened, and before the recruits come in. I think there are going to be starters in that group. Certainly going to be starters in that group. Maybe even some of the very top guys in that group. But they just weren't being maximized. I know some of it's injury, bad luck. I understand that, how that happened last year with our starting left tackle. And by all accounts, he's back and strong. But I think Mateos is a difference maker, a true difference maker. And I said this after the hire was made. And again, not everything is a one-to-one comparison. This is not, calculus. But when you are the offensive line coach for one of the worst teams in the SEC, which Arkansas most definitely was in 2025, and you still have one of the best offensive lines in the SEC, and you're getting guys on the all-SEC teams, and as we just saw last week, you're getting guys drafted in the NFL with solid draft picks, you are doing something right. And I understand winning the offseason has been something that assistant coaches and coaches have done in the past for Wisconsin. No question Mateos has won the offseason part of this. I think he's an intriguing guy, interesting, real old school, frankly likable. And if you cut a mold for a Wisconsin Badger offensive line coach, it would look a lot like Eric Mateos. But beyond that stuff, which is largely window dressing, I'm not saying he's not being real. I'm just saying that doesn't really matter when you're between the sidelines. I think when push comes to shove this fall, that unit is going to look good, and it will be the best unit on the Wisconsin Badgers. The best unit on the Wisconsin Badgers, the steadiest unit on the Badgers is going to be the offensive line. That does not mean sacks will not happen. That does not mean assignments will not be missed. And Abu Sama will be stuffed in the backfield sometimes. That stuff is all going to happen. This is not the most talented Wisconsin team we have seen. I mean, I think we all know that. But I like the offensive line, and I like the coach. And one more time, this is going to be the best OL we've had in several years. I guess 7 years. I wasn't a math major, guys. I was poli-sci. 7 years. All right, 2 down, 1 to go for my sweet and impossible to prove false right now 3 bold post-booing Wisconsin football predictions. Finally, and this one might be the least controversial of the 3. There's going to be a 1,000-yard Wisconsin running back for the first time since Braylon Allen in 2022. That's a 5-year span. 4 full seasons has passed. We're going to have another one, guys. And I know, many of you are saying, well, went out and got some guys in the portal like Abu Sama. We have other dudes in the portal like Brian Jackson and Palmer with some pedigree. Darian Dupree is coming back. He's shown what he can do. And this is a little bit of a move on the fly here, guys. The number 1 running back in the JUCO ranks in the current cycle, a gentleman by the name of Julius Pope Julius I in Madison. He comes in with 3 years of eligibility left. That is a loaded room. And I know one of the possible reads on that is, well, there's so many good guys, it's going to be hard to have one buck get a chug for 1,000. And I kind of look at it a different way. I think when there's so much talent in that room, that makes everyone be a little bit better. And I think when that happens, someone is going to stand out. My guess is going to be Sama. But I think there's going to be – I want to backtrack a little bit here. There are going to be carries to be had across that room. It's not going to be a 2-guy committee. Everyone's going to get touches. are those names. But I have to say, I just have an inkling that for the reasons I just mentioned, someone is going to break that 1,000-yard barrier. It's not going to be two guys, unfortunately. I don't think we're going to be that good on offense. This is not, Monty Ball, Melvin Gordon, James White territory we're in here. But there is talent and depth in a way that we have not had on Wisconsin in a number of seasons. And coupled with the offensive line that I just spoke about, I just raved about, I'm absolutely salivating, not in a weird way, for just to see this Wisconsin running game evolve and do some damage this fall. I think, obviously, like how the passing game works is going to largely determine just how effective the running game will go. But also, at the flip side, having a quarterback like Colton Joseph who can also run, that's a weapon that takes some of the load off the running backs too. And I understand I just said a few moments ago that I think Ryan Hopkins is going to get a lot of snaps, but if it goes as I think it should and hopefully will, the vast majority of snaps are still going to be Colton Joseph's. So anyway, those are my three. I'd love to hear your predictions down there in the comments. Guys, I try to get on here and reply to every single comment that, even no matter how mean it is. Most of them are not. But I do appreciate you're taking the time. There's a lot of podcasts out there, but it means a lot that you listen to Scary Alvarez. I mean, I listen to it too. So we have that going for us. But please throw your comments down in the comments section here. And love to hear from you. Anyway, those are my predictions. It is early May. Lots of time. And there'll be new ones, I'm sure, by September, by the time we play Notre Dame. But that's where I am right now. Thanks again for tuning in. And Scary Alvarez is out.